look, we both, I think, see this the same way in the sense that the question really is, what gives the Cavs the best chance to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about, not just advance past the first round. And as you know, I don't think they're going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But the best way to prepare themselves is not with a pushover in the first round. Now, the Wizards, I won't argue about, with you on the premise of they're not very good. They're not very good. And they're less than the sum of their parts. The whole is somehow. So, yes, sure, the Wizards, if you're just looking for a pushover, at this point, they're a disjointed team. Not like the Pacers play more together and a team like that. Sure, I understand your point. But if the point is actually what gives the Cavs the best chance to advance in these playoffs, get past the Raptors, who they're likely to meet in the second round, then the answer is, in fact, the Miami Heat. That's who the Cavs should play. Because the Miami Heat are tough. They will test, probably extend the Cavs. It will be an emotional series. Look, we're talking Pat Riley and LeBron James later in the show. It's LeBron versus Pat Riley versus Dwayne Wade. And not only that, they have a real team, the Heat. And they play more cohesively than the Wizards. And they have heart and all that stuff. But they're not good enough likely to beat the Cavs. So a series like that emotionally prepares the Cavs for a team like Toronto much better than a series like the Wizards does.
So the Cavs and LeBron James need to be prepared for the Raptors? It ain't the other way around?
Yes, they do. Oh, yes, they do.
You missed something here, Max Kellerman, and here's what you missed. Turn off that daggone screen. I want the camera on me right now. Turn that stuff off. I want it on me. Here's the deal. Don't be sensitive. Don't be sensitive. Here's the deal. Max Kellerman, here's what you missed. The fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers, in all likelihood, would have to face the Toronto Raptors in the semifinals as opposed to the conference finals works to Cleveland's advantage, not Toronto's. And here's why. Because as the number one seed, with the exceptional coaching of Dwayne Casey, with Masai doing what he's done in assembling the roster, with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry being under the spotlight, if you get to the conference finals, it's less pressure to some degree because at least you would have advanced that far and people can look at your season as being a relative success. If you get bounced out in the second round, the semifinals, after the year that you've had, after everybody's been talking about y'all, it looks worse. So it's more pressure on Toronto to have to face Cleveland in the second round, not less, which works to LeBron and Cleveland's advantage more so than Toronto.
I'm sorry. You're saying that Toronto has more pressure than LeBron James. Is that the point?
Yes.
The only player with more pressure on him than LeBron James in the NBA right now in these playoffs is James Harden. There's always, in this rare exception. Otherwise, LeBron's got more pressure than everyone. You think because DeMar DeRozan is going up against LeBron James, and that's a matchup issue for him physically and psychologically, that's going to be the issue? Let me tell you something. I'll tell you something about Masai Ujiri. And I always talk about the East and how the Sixers have the most upside, but in fact, the brain power is with Masai Ujiri in Toronto and Danny Ainge in Boston, right?
You're missing it.
Okay, you think if I know that they ISO'd DeRozan and Lowry late in games when they should continue to play team ball instead, you think Masai Ujiri and Dwayne Casey don't know? Of course they know, and they will correct that in the playoffs.
Since when does knowledge have anything to do with it? Who cares what they know? It's what they can do about it. That's number one. But number two, those points are irrelevant. I don't even want to talk about Danny Ainge and Masai. They are irrelevant to me because they did their jobs. Now it's up to the players to do their jobs. Forget them for a second. Max Kellerman, let me tell you another point where you missed all of this. You played right into LeBron's hands. Let me tell you something, my man. When you look at it from the standpoint of LeBron, the only player that has more pressure on him is James Harden. No, Max Kellerman. Have you not been paying attention to what's been going on with Cleveland all year long? Think about it. Kyrie's gone. Now, if he were playing Kyrie, like I explained over a week ago before we learned that Kyrie's out for the playoffs, that would be different because going up against Kyrie, he could not lose to Kyrie Irving. But anybody else, because of all the trepidation, all the dysfunction, and everything else that has raked through the Cleveland Cavaliers franchise, to player injuries, to the coach having to sit out for a while, to everything in between, to LeBron's relationship with Gilbert and what we lamented, to whether he'll stay or go, etc. The fact of the matter is, with all of that stuff going on, Max Kellerman, LeBron James, if he loses, so what? It's not a big deal
So
to
what?
lose to a team that's considered
Okay.
the best in the Eastern
Stephen A.
Conference when you've had this kind of trouble. In your eyes, that's what the deal is.